Hey, this is Craig the Pool Man with Pool Specialist. Today we have a short video for you on how to replace a pump with a Pentair SuperFlo VS or VST. We're also going to show you how to replace the power end on that pump, and that will be very helpful hopefully if your power end goes out. Here we have a Pentair SuperFlo VST already installed, but some things that I'd like to point out that are really sweet about this pump. This is a perfect replacement for those old Hayward super pumps and it matches up perfectly. Then what would happen with the SuperFlo is they have a couple or a nipple that goes in here and a nipple that goes in here, and then typically the pipe is glued straight into it. So you can actually cut it right at the end of the nipple, and what will happen is you'll notice how long this union is, and so then this union is long enough so that you do not have to replumb this, nor do you have to replumb this. And so it makes it so much easier not having to cut anything and replumb it. So it'll fit right up perfectly, and the backspace is correct, the height is correct, everything's correct to replace a regular Hayward super pump. And this is a much more energy efficient, much more reliable pump. You'll probably save roughly 50% on your energy bill by going from a Hayward super pump to this particular pump. In many places they offer rebates through your energy company, and in our area we have Duke Energy. And if this is a filter pump and you replace an old Hayward super pump with an energy efficient Pentair SuperFlo VS or VST, then you will get a $300 rebate. So one of the things that I want to point out, we're going to show you the electrical in a minute, and the most important thing to do before you start this project is turn the circuit breaker off for the power going to this pump. You don't want to get electrocuted. If you're going to replace the power end, sometimes it's easier just to work it in place, sometimes it's easier to take it off. And to take it off, you're going to use a pair of special channel locks. These are actually channel locks for what's called oil wrenches, and you can get these, I believe, at Home Depot or Lowe's. If not, you could just get them online. The actual number is channel lock number 215, and you'll see they're adjustable, and it makes it easy to just go ahead and loosen up that union, and then also loosen up your top union. And once you have them loosened up, you can do it by hand. Pretty simple. And now we can actually take this pump out. We have to remove the electrical first. So on this side of the pump that I'm standing at, and it's going to be very hard to get a picture, is actually where the bonding wire comes into play, which is right here. And the beauty of this pump is that the lug for the bonding wire, you don't have to have a cut bonding wire, and so it'll just slip in. So you can just take a screwdriver, loosen this up, and the bonding wire comes out very, very easily. Bonding wires are extremely important. They actually bond the pool to the equipment pad, and so what it's going to do is it's going to neutralize all the electricity in the pool to the equipment pad, so that if there is some stray electricity in the pool, that you actually don't get shocked or, quite honestly, electrocuted. So bonding wire, you always want to make sure you attach it. It is the code electrical code, I'm sure throughout the entire United States, they require all pumps and all pool equipment to be bonded. And yes, this does eventually go back to your ground wire. As you go into your light box, which is here, you'll find the bonding wire goes in here, and not only does the bonding wire go in here to a lug strip, but it also the ground wire goes to there. So those two are actually joined together, but for safety reasons, you always want to have that bonding lug. Okay, I think now you can see the bonding wire is detached from the bonding lug over here. And all we have to do is simply unscrew these 4 bolt screws. Okay, so we have all the screws out, so we can remove that. If you'd like, you can actually unplug it. There's a little clip, and then you can unplug it, and then you can see your electrical wiring here. The beauty of the SuperFlo pump is you can wire it either to 120 or 240, and it automatically figures out exactly what you have, so that you don't have to change any wires on it or anything else. So I have my meter here, and the whole purpose of my meter is just to verify that I don't have any voltage across here, so that when I start removing this, I don't get electrocuted. So no voltage there. And we tend to like to put lugs on things. The lugs make it easier when you're switching out pumps or working on pumps. So what you would do is take a pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of pull them off. Never pull on the wires, because then you're gonna dislodge the wire from the lug. And then the ground lug is always actually screwed on. So there we go with that. Next, we'll remove the conduit. And only one of these lugs is going to fit through at a time. So you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get them out, and then how you're going to get them back in one at a time. So in some cases, you kind of hold on to the one. Well, that made it kind of easy, but now we got to replace that one more. Not that big of a deal. So there's our wire. We're going to change this pump power end out, so we're going to take this conduit piece out, and now we actually have this pump so that we can easily remove it and walk away and put it on a bench and replace everything on the bench. Okay, so I like to use a ratchet to do this, and of course I have a universal on it, which is going to make my life a little bit easier. And this is a 9/16 inch socket on a ratchet. So all we have to do, we've got 4 bolts that hold this together. One there, one on the bottom, and that bolt actually goes through the stand. So you probably want to make note that when you put it back together, that the bolt goes through the stand. Then there are 2 bolts on this side, same places, that you're going to remove. And that's about it. Now this back piece will come off. Sometimes you have to grab a screwdriver to just pop in here and help it get separated. Just find a spot. and once you get it going, it'll come apart relatively easy. And now we have what's called our wet end, which is here, and we have our power end. And the power end we're going to replace. We have another video that shows you how to build that up, and that I would recommend watching that video if you're trying to replace the motor and the drive assembly. I really don't recommend reusing the parts, especially you want to replace things like the body O-ring and then also the mechanical seal that's in there, and that'll be explained in the other video. And here's that power end that we built up in that other video. And now I'm going to give you some advice that is definitely worth the price of the admission to this video. You need to get yourself a little bit of dish detergent. Me personally, I really like the Dawn and preferably the lemon scent because it just makes me smell a whole lot better. When I get home, my wife says, you smell great. So you put that Dawn dish detergent, and Dawn of course is safe for everything. You see them advertise that they clean little birdies with it. However, you'll notice that they don't really clean the little birdies with the lemon scent. I'm sure the birdies don't want to smell like lemon, so they just use the regular blue stuff that really doesn't have a scent at all. But this will allow you to slide your power end into your wet end a whole lot easier. And as I had mentioned, I always replace the mechanical seal and always replace, as I call it, the body seal. So this just kind of goes on. If you have any problems, what you want to do is twist it towards it, and then when you put it in, it will twist away. Now you don't need any dish detergent on that because it's just going to snug up against this. Okay, so now that we've got everything lubed up with the Dawn dish detergent, we're going to take our wet end and we're going to put it on our power end. So let's go ahead and tip that up, and then we can push this down on it. Try to line the bolt holes up as much as you can. Don't forget that you're going to have to put the stand on the bottom. So put your bolts in the top first. And conveniently, all your bolts are the same size. So you don't have to worry about which ones go in the top and which ones go in the bottom. So start to thread those. And don't tighten them, because if you don't have all the bolt holes lined up, you may have to twist this a little bit. So you really only want to grab a few threads. Now that you've got you've got the top ones loosely threaded, go ahead and line your bottom up. And as you can see, the bolts go through over here, and it holds the bottom piece on. Again, not tight, loosely, and then finally you get your last one in. And now we can go round robin and tighten everything up. And if you don't have these tight, then the pump's going to start leaking out between the wet end and what I call the body seal. So make sure these are tight. They don't have to be killer tight, but tight enough so that the vibration from the pump isn't going to loosen them up. And then the pump starts to lose prime if it shuts off because you're getting air in there, or you're losing water because of it leaking out of that body seal. So here's our pump put back together. Now let's go ahead and put it back in place. Okay, so now we're going to slide the pump into place up here, and we're going to start putting that on. Then we're going to take our top I'm going to put that on, and then initially get them hand tight. And then I like to take my oil wrench ones and tighten them up. Again, it doesn't have to be killer tight. And the reason why you want the oil wrench and not just a regular channel lock is the channel lock is straight, and so then it puts pressure on where you're actually trying to turn it, where these distribute it a whole lot better, and it doesn't kind of squish the union so that it doesn't tighten up properly. It just kind of grabs it. You don't have to, you grab it with the teeth. You see the teeth here and teeth here, and that allows a lot better equalization of the pressure around it. So now we have our wet end in place. Now we're going to show you how we're going to hook up our electrical. Okay, same thing as before. We're going to go ahead and take the top off, because of course the electrical connections are underneath it, and it just makes, if we pull the whole top off, it just makes life a whole lot easier. And of course unplug it the same way we unplug the other one. Put our conduit connector back in. And now we have to feed our wires. Alright, so we got our conduit in. We want to make sure we tighten up the connector so that it doesn't fall out. We're going to put our ground wire on just because it's easier to get to before you get the other wires. So it of course has a lug on it, makes it a little bit easier. When you're working with stranded wire, I highly recommend that you use lugs. I like the ones that actually go underneath the screw, so you'll see that the lug that I replaced is going underneath. And if you were wiring up 120 volt, then the white should go under the silver, which the white is the neutral, and that's standard code. This is 240, so we don't really care, but again, white goes to silver and black would go to brass. And if you don't have black, sometimes people use red, such as this is red. And this pushes on. Alright, so now we have everything wired up. Don't forget your bonding wire. The bonding wire goes to the bonding lug that's all the way over here. You're going to have to back the screw out quite a bit. And put your bonding wire through your lug. Go ahead and tighten it back up. Make sure that's nice and tight. want a good connection. It's very important that all these connections be tight, because if they're not tight, what happens is you'll get arcing. And if you get arcing, you'll get heat. And if you get heat, you'll get fire, and it'll melt the insulation and all kinds of nasty stuff. So put your lid back on, line it up, and now you're ready to turn your power on and program the pump up. And the programming of the pump is covered yet in another video, which this pump is relatively easy to program. And if you feel so inclined and you've got tremendous eyes or really good glasses, you can read the number 6 font that's on the underside of that lid, and that'll tell you exactly how to program it. So there's our pump. We've uninstalled it, we replaced the power end, and now it's completely reinstalled, ready for operation. I hope you found our short video educational. If you did, please drop us a like and follow us. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.